Lando's just got his burst behind you. You remember that feeling, and we've got a new British world champion as well. Can we get a few words from you on Lando?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked a bit. I was thinking of not saying too much really, just other than I'm really, really happy for him. But winning your first world championship is truly special. And the UK continues to pump out great drivers, and I think I know what the feeling is also when you're coming into this race and fighting for your first championship is nerve-wracking. I'm just really proud of him. I just told him to do before the weekend. Just told him to what he's been doing works, so don't change anything. And I guess that's what he did.
And what he'd give to have that feeling again, but just another look at that. That's a lovely moment from one champion to the other. Right, let's get some team radio from Leighton with Oscar Piastri.
Was Hamilton's comeback in Abu Dhabi really epic? Or was it a media illusion to cover up Ferrari's internal collapse? Some outlets began to headline Lewis Hamilton's race at Abu Dhabi 2025 as an epic comeback, the headline seeming designed more to fuel a narrative than to accurately describe the facts. Because what happened at the Yas Marina circuit was far from being a heroic feat, and much closer to being a perfect metaphor for the silent frustration that consumes Ferrari from within. Lewis Hamilton qualified in 16th position. It was his fourth consecutive elimination in Q1, a streak that not only embarrasses a driver of his caliber, but breaks with the tradition of excellence that Ferrari has always pursued. It was, in fact, the first time in 44 years that a Ferrari driver completed an entire season without finishing on the podium once. And that fact alone should be enough to destroy any epic tale. But there is still more. During the race, Hamilton managed to climb to 8th position. It's true. He rose 8 places. But that doesn't make it a miracle. That type of progression is common when the car has a decent pace, and other drivers abandon, make mistakes, or enter into failed strategies. The difference when crossing the finish line between Hamilton and the winner, Max Verstappen, was 1 minute and 12 seconds. An eternity. In Formula One, that is not a comeback. It is a brutal reminder of how far a team that was once the yardstick by which success was measured has fallen. And if you look at the context of that classification and race, the story becomes even bleaker. The SF25 suffered a serious accident in FP3. Hamilton lost control at turn 9, spun and ended up in the barriers. The images didn't lie, it was an indomitable car. The pilot reported a mechanical anomaly over the radio. Something buckled in the front and broke the rear. That is, the car failed. The structure gave way. And although Ferrari's mechanics rebuilt the car in time, the message was clear. The problem wasn't the driver, it was the machine. And that nuance is fundamental. Because while the headlines talked about a spectacular comeback, what really happened was a decent performance within a disastrous context. There were no glorious overtakes. There were no master strategies. What there was a Hamilton struggling to rescue dignity in the midst of a hostile technical environment, with a car that is not up to his talent. The confusion grew because of digital content. Dozens of YouTube channels and social media accounts began pushing baseless theories. Some videos, with morbid titles, hinted at internal sabotage, conspiracies against Hamilton, and explosive tensions within Ferrari. But when examining these contents, the pattern repeats itself. Statements without sources, dramatization without data, emotional montage with epic music, and zero real documentation. The most viral content about Abu Dhabi, in fact, did not even analyze that race but Belgium. A narrative fraud that found its audience in the collective desire to find epic where there was only frustration. This does not mean that Hamilton did not have a decent career. It was. But it is one thing to recognize their efforts and another to inflate their performance until it becomes a fictitious story that hides the real problems. And that is precisely what should worry Ferrari the most, that its fall is no longer even analyzed from performance, but from desperation to keep an illusion alive. Abu Dhabi was definitive proof that Ferrari doesn't just have a speed problem. He has a perception problem. You are losing control of your story. You are letting others tell your story. And when that happens, when a mythical team becomes a passive character in its own narrative, the abyss is closer than it seems. Ferrari has lost more than just points on the track. He has lost his way. And when we talk about a structure like Maranello, that doesn't simply mean making operational errors or having a slow car. It means falling apart from within. What happened after the Abu Dhabi race is just a symptom of a deeper, more systemic, more disturbing problem. Ferrari is not clear about who it is, what it is looking for, and how it intends to recover. Since the arrival of Lewis Hamilton, everything was designed for a new era, a cultural transformation. The British's experience not only had to add performance, but also structure, focus, and winning mentality. But until now, integration has been forced, almost artificial. Ferrari has not known how to adapt its structure to receive a driver who worked for more than a decade under a completely different system, that of Mercedes. And Lewis, for his part, has been a victim of the disorganization that has often defined the Italian team. Multiple voices, lack of coherent technical leadership, and strategic decisions that change on the fly without a long-term vision. One of the clearest examples of this disorientation is the management of race weekends. During several key sessions, Ferrari has made repetitive mistakes. Poor tire use, errors in the timing of fast laps and qualifying, conservative decisions when aggressiveness was needed, and late strategies when anticipation was required. The Australian GP was a warning, Abu Dhabi a confirmation. Decision-making has been erratic and, worse still, without subsequent learning. There are no signs of evolution. Survival only. The tension is also felt off the track. The media environment surrounding Ferrari has become toxic. Forums such as Autosport, Reddit, and specialized YouTube channels have been filled with theories of sabotage, internal accusations, rumors about divisions between Italian and British engineers, and even speculation about possible replacements for Charles Leclerc in the medium term. All this fueled by the official silence of the team, which seems more concerned with controlling the narrative than with solving the real problems it faces on the track. One of the moments that most reflects this lack of narrative control is the massive appearance of videos with titles such as "Ferrari sabotages Hamilton" or "Ferrari's internal collapse explained in one lap." Content that collects fragments, images out of context, and unfounded theories to build stories that, although false, are more convincing than the official version. Because Ferrari has lost its monopoly on its history. He has let the outside world tell his truth. And when that happens, trust disintegrates from within. Pilots are not immune to this situation either. Leclerc has proven time and time again that he can deliver pure speed, but also that his confidence depends on the technical and emotional environment around him. And right now, that environment is collapsing. Hamilton, for his part, has tried to impose calm and experience, but his gestures inside the cockpit, his tone on the radio, and his post-race statements betray frustration, emotional exhaustion, and a growing sense of helplessness. Ferrari's problem is no longer just one of results. It's about identity. The team seems trapped in a paradox. It wants to be modern, but it drags dynamics from the past. It wants to adopt an Anglo-Saxon approach to operational precision, but maintains fragmented hierarchical structures. It wants to attract the best talent, but it does not offer stability. In that scenario, neither the best car that they do not have today, nor the best driver that they do have today can save them. And the most serious thing is that internally there is no clear roadmap to get out of this labyrinth. There is no tangible plan, no unified vision. Ferrari navigates without a compass, trusting more in its history than in its present. And in the meantime, each race becomes not an opportunity, but a constant test of survival. The 2025 season has placed Ferrari at a crossroads of no return. The team faces an existential question that it can no longer postpone. Do they really have the technical, human, and strategic tools to fight for championships again? Or worse, are they doomed to repeat the cycle of self-destruction that has defined much of their modern history? What happened in Abu Dhabi was no exception. It was the natural result of a chain of failed decisions, unfulfilled promises, and a brutal disconnection between institutional discourse and sporting reality. From within, Ferrari has tried to maintain a calm posture, appealing to the long term, to the processes, to the supposed aerodynamic evolutions that are yet to come. But from the outside, the story is different. A team that has lost control of its destiny, clinging to a legendary driver as a last resort to avoid disappearing from the elite. Lewis Hamilton, the symbol of this hope, is experiencing one of the most complex transitions of his career. Not because of age, not because of motivation, but because he is trapped between two worlds. On the one hand, his competitive instinct, his obsession with perfection, and his demanding standard learned at Mercedes. On the other, the Ferrari culture, chaotic, passionate, volatile, where internal politics weigh as much as performance on the track. So far, Hamilton has maintained his composure. But his words after the race in Yas Marina are revealing. He called the season the worst of his career. And the most alarming thing was not the phrase itself, but the tone in which he pronounced it. There was no anger. There was no outrage. Just resignation. A type of emotional exhaustion that won't be solved by a new spoiler or suspension upgrade. A type of wear that is not measured in tenths per lap, but in patience. So yes, Abu Dhabi was a sign. But it was not the sign that the headlines announced. It was not the return of the king, nor the rebirth of Ferrari. It was a clear warning. A reminder that time does not wait, that history weighs, and that even giants can crumble if they do not recognize in time that they are hurt. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.